Hello, precious people. I'm Jacqueline Parks. Welcome to my studio, Stampin' Turtles. And today I will be painting a lovely scene. It was a class I did yesterday, A Path Through the Woods.
Hello,
Okay,
precious.
I can hear me, so now I can turn it down. But yes, I did a class yesterday. Fabulous class. We had some newbies in there, and they did fabulous. We even had a third grader or going into fourth grade. She did fabulous. I think she has natural talent to just be a watercolor artist. And of course, some of my regulars came, and I will show you a little picture of all of us together. This was our class, and as you can see, all the paintings are amazing. And the thing that really ties all these pictures together is the shadows. So here is my this is the one I did. I might darken in some of the shadows. When I'm painting and teaching, it's kind of hard to focus on every little detail. So I think I could have did some more layers. But what we ended up doing was just focusing on getting that kind of bluish shadow that goes across the path. And so today's tutorial is going to be on light and dark or shadows and how to create contrast in your paintings. But I thought this path through a forest was a great theme. I've done a tutorial before, the plein air one that I did a couple weeks ago, but I do want to just try a new one, maybe in a portrait instead of landscape setting. So let me get some paper. If I have paper. Sometimes I don't have paper. Oh, here's some. All right. So this sheet of paper is a little big. I could cut it down. I'm not really sure what the measurements are. Let me check. 11 inches by 7. So I am drinking my tea today. This is my tea that I am drinking. Rooibos. It's a rooibos chai. Rooibos chai. Let me change my light over here so you can see a little better maybe. Rooibos chai. It's I don't know. It's just something yummy. It's caffeine free. Let's see my tea. And I got my honey from Coastal Comb Bee Company. If you guys are local, definitely get this. It's good honey. So I'm going to try and make some room on my desk here. It's a little messy. I have not been in here very much. I've been more at the studio lately, which is great. And then what happened last Monday? Did we meet last Monday? I feel like we did. Was that the flag painting we did? So if you guys are local and want to learn how to paint this flag, sign up on my website. It's going to be June 14th at 2 p.m. And my website is stampinturtles.com. No G in Stampin'. But yeah, definitely for Flag Day, we'll be doing that one. Let's see what else we got. Oh, here is what I think I'm going to paint for you today. So see the pretty light streaming through the trees. That was one option. I could see if there's another option. Let me look on my phone because I did go on Pinterest and I saw this one as well. That was really, really pretty. So this one might work for the shadows. See how dark the shadows are and the light on the path? That's kind of what we want. Hey, Janice, thanks for joining, girl. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out which one of these I want to paint. This one is also really pretty. It's hard to focus. Hello, focus. Focus. There we go. Oh, I had VBS last week. That's right. I'm like, I feel like I haven't been in my craft room for a while. So it's sad when I miss you guys. But I did, I like this one too. So it's kind of Maybe I'll do a combination of the three, because, you know, that could be fun. And if you are a watercolor artist who likes to draw out your picture before you actually paint, like me, I'm going to show you just a quick way to do perspective. So a lot of times people don't know perspective. Which one did you like? The last one or the first one? Did you like this one? I don't know. I like them all, so it's kind of hard to choose. That's why I'm like, I might put a whole bunch together. But, so what I showed people yesterday how to do a vanishing point. So you would pick somewhere where the end of your path is going to be. So like maybe this is where the end of my path is going to be. And so it's going to come out and down over here. And then it's going to come down and out over here. So we're going to have this just be a little bit of the path right here. So about like a little more than 1/2 inch wide. But now I'm going to connect that side to this mark and that side to this mark. And that's going to show your depth. And I don't know if I'm pressing hard enough for you guys to see. I really don't like to press hard when I'm sketching, even though I think it's important for you guys to see what I'm sketching, but then it makes it hard to cover up when I paint, because watercolor is a little bit translucent, right? So we need to definitely, now that looks like a little volcano shape, right? And my, you know, this one is not that same shape. This one's not either. And neither is that one. So I'm kind of doing a little bit of this one, I think. I like this one because of the shadows. I may do this one. But I could change the colors. I can change some of the composition. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Now, the one thing about this, with this vanishing point here that you'll want to remember, is there is a tree right here. And that tree is going to go all the way off the top of the page. And I do like painting trees. There might be some more trees over here. So it looks like there could be 3 trees and like a whole bunch of foliage right here that kind of goes across the path. So now I'm going to erase a little bit right there, just so this little bit of foliage is going to come out. So the path is still there. The basic shape is still there. But now we got a tree that's kind of going in front of the path right here. This is why we press very lightly with our pencil marks. We do not want it to be too dark, because then you can't really do much with it. Now this also has some foliage coming, and I am just changing the shape of that line to not be so straight. And you can wiggle your brush or your pencil, whatever you want to do, to make that line a little bit less. Can you see that? It's hard to see. So now I've got these trees. I might put some trees back here. Let's see, put a tree trunk. I'm not going to do the whole trunk. I'm just doing some of the trees. Not a whole lot of them. Just very quick. Not even trying to make them. Because they may go all the way up here. They may not. We'll see how that works. So we put a lot of leaves and stuff, right? So yeah, I like that one. And that's like, the path is going around them trees. So it's almost like, even though it's the vanishing point, it's not going too far away. It's going to go around them trees. And I've done a couple of these kind of things before, and it's really cool. Let me see. Is this as zoomed out as we can get, so I can get that whole thing? There we go. And got to open our paints. So I was telling people yesterday that this set is really great, and it's only $10, I think, at Hobby Lobby. Now, I have since used up all of the colors and replaced them with the Winsor Newton professional grade paint. So I have basically refilled these multiple times for sure, in the blues, in the yellows, the greens, and the browns, and the Payne's gray. So I definitely have used those colors the most. I do refill these reds as well. Orange is not one that I tend to use a lot of, but who knows? Maybe I should do a series on painting oranges and we'll use up them orange colors. And now I'm going to, should have moved this out of the way. Let's see. There's room over here. Yep. I want to have my palette visible so you guys know what I'm dipping my brush into. And I might just put that up. Oh, there's one reason why there's not enough light. I have to turn on that light. Oops. Forgot that light. All right, so I've got my paints that are all dry. So I'm going to dip my brush in the water. And what I'm going to do is put a drop of water in each one to rehydrate. If I didn't tell you this before, it's a great trick to get all your paints moving. They're moving now, right? I do need to refill some of these guys. There's some that are very empty at the moment. All right, so if you didn't know that trick, you can also use a spray bottle with water in it and just spray all these guys. I do think I have some blue to refill, but is it here or at the studio? That is the question. Now this is Cerulean Sky Blue. I do like this color, and it's in the I don't know if you can see that, May Mary Blue. I like to use this turtle palette for all my different blues when I'm here. It's not great for traveling, but I like it because my daughter Amanda gave it to me. Oh, hey Beth, how's it going? So glad you could join us. We're doing a path through the woods, and I think it'll be fun. So that is sealed pretty closed tight. This is cerulean blue that I had 30 years ago, and it's still good. I want you guys to know that your paints don't go bad. They stay. Watercolor is one of those that you can rehydrate with water, even if it's 30 years old. So I like that. I just put a little bit right there of that cerulean blue, just for fun. Now the reference photo doesn't have a blue sky, but you know what? I like blue. Let's see what happens when I use this. It's a little light. Let me add some from that other palette that I have, because I like that color. That one almost has a lot of white. I don't know if I like it. It's student grade. Don't really care for student grade sometimes. So now I'm just going to fill all this in with some blue and rinse my brush, and I'm going to spread it out. So a lot of times I start by wetting the whole sky, but this time what I'm doing is just spreading it out with clean water. Just a little bit. So you can push that water and paint around. Once it's on your paper, you can push it. So I kind of like that. That looks good. Plus this blue is going to be great for the foliage that I'm going to do. It's going to be great. So the picture is not necessarily the same. I'm using this for the sketch, but I'm going to put some blue for the sky. And there's still going to be streams of light coming through. Remember, you need to have paper towels in your hand at all times when you're watercoloring. So you can dab, clean brush, and now I'm just going to make some streams of light. So that's just lifting and dabbing it here. Clean it, dry it, and lift. See how those little streams of light are coming through? Look at that. Keep them all going in like the same direction. Like, where is your sun? So you want to do that. So see how that looks? It's kind of hard to tell. It's a little shiny and it's very subtle. It's not very dark, but that's kind of how I roll a lot of times. We're going to put my little turtle's foot on there to make that flat. Because when I wet this and it's not taped down, it will start to buckle. And I don't mind the buckle so much. I can paint around it. But it might be hard for a newbie to deal with a buckling piece of paper. So if you are new to watercoloring, tape all four sides. Don't just tape corners, tape all four sides. And if you're frugal, reuse the tape. So I've got this little bit of blue, which I think will be very subtle, very nice. Now I'm going to focus on making a grayish color for that path, which is already kind of on my palette from yesterday. And how I mix this up is I use some burnt sienna, some blue, and this blue might be aquamarine, I think. It's hard to remember what the names are. I just kind of go by where they were originally, and I've been using this palette for so long that I'm like, you know what, this is what I like to mix. And I kind of mix my blues. So even if it's not perfectly aquamarine, it's still a blue that's kind of darker, a darker blue kind of. So watch what I'm doing here. I want you to see if I can zoom. Let me see if I can zoom. Zoom so you see what I'm doing. What I'm doing, and this is wet on dry. So far today I've just done wet on dry techniques. You can do wet and wet, which is also fun, but this gives you so much more control. See how I'm getting right up into that little design that I kind of put in there with my pencil line. And if the brush you're using is a little too big and you feel like you can't control it very well, switch to a smaller one. This just gives me a lot faster. I can go faster with a bigger brush. So now that I've gotten my whole color block in, I almost feel like it is like color blocking. I know it's not acrylics, but sometimes that's what I'm doing, you know? So now I've got my path, and it's all the same color. Whatever this kind of taupe color is, I did on the whole path, right? I'm not doing shadows. I'm not doing any texture yet. Although I could splatter and put some texture, which would be different than what is in the reference photo. A lot of times I change it up because we don't want to be the same as what we saw online. We want to get inspired. We don't want to copy identical. Although it's very hard to copy identical, for me anyways. So now check this out. I'm just doing some little splatters, right? Now if you zoom in, you see I got some over here and I got some up in the sky area. So I'm going to wash, dry, and lift. You can wash, dry, and lift. Wash, dry, and see there's some up here. So lift, lift. So really there's no mistakes if you act quick at the very beginning, right? Another trick is just cover it. You can use some paper and go like that, and then it won't get all over the place, right? So that's also a way you can do things, but I don't mind just lifting it up real quick with my brush. I don't mind lifting it up. Janice, will pouring water on me rehydrate me? Yes, pour some water on yourself. I don't know. I think if you're talking about your painting, I think it will. Like you can spray your painting even after years and it will rehydrate. So this is speckled now, which I kind of like. Kind of like the speckles. See the little speckles in there? They're kind of neat. My next step might be to do some greens up here. So we got to mix some green. I have a little place for it. I'm going to go back to my bigger brush just because it makes it faster. And I'm a pretty fast painter, y'all. Janice is pretty fast too, aren't you, girl? Are you keeping up? Are you painting along? Sometimes she paints along and she says I go too fast, or I didn't give her a drawing or something. Which today we drew together, so no excuses. But this is a straight from the tube sap green. Sap green is very stark for me. Like, I feel like it's very green. And when I'm looking at the greens in the trees over here, I like to just tone them down. And so I put a little drop of red. A little drop, not too much. And see how it makes it darker already? It made my green a little darker. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to color block some greenery. So I'm just going to start putting it here and there. I'm not trying to be perfect at this point. I'm just filling it in. Filling in some green up here. And down to this area. I have to keep adding water. And I'll show you that I had this whole thing full of green and now it's almost gone. Like, that is how much I've used up. And now I'm just going to get it right to that edge. Even if that was still wet, it would be fine. I'm going to put some green over here. And I don't like harsh edges, so I'm going to just dab and smooth that out with some water. So I'm smoothing it. Smoothing. But the smoothing still gives you something. Move your little paw for a minute, turtle. Move your little paw. Oh, my friend got me a crochet turtle, and it's in my car. I'd show it to you, but it's so cute. I love it. Now this is also green in here, so I may go ahead and do some green down in here. So that looks cool. Just filling it in. We're just kind of filling it in. There's no details. Like, I haven't done a detail yet. But right now, with the sunlight shining on that, I can see there's a glare. I am so sorry. Sometimes trying to get rid of a glare on here is pain. So I can like try and block that. I don't know. It's still there. It's still glaring. When it dries, it won't be glare. And if you want to dry something really fast, because you're impatient like me, get one of these bad boys. These are a heat tool. And this one's from Stampin' Up, but you can get them from Hobby Lobby or Michael's or online on Amazon, wherever you shop. Look for a heat tool. Now, Stampin' Ups might have a 2 setting. This is an older one, so it doesn't. But the newer ones have 2 settings, so not too hot and then hotter. So if you are using a heat tool, don't keep it in one spot too long. It will scorch your paper. So just be aware of that. So that looks pretty dry, I think. It's still damp, but it's not too bad. So now I'm going to mix up, instead of this path color, we're going to use a darker brown. So I'm going to mix both my burnt sienna and burnt umber together and some Payne's Gray. And you'll only know how much to use of each one when you practice. You got to keep practicing to mix your colors. And you can start by swatching all of your colors. Swatch them all on a piece of paper piece of watercolor paper. So you'll know what each color looks like. Then start playing with your complementary colors, like the ones that make the secondary colors. So like yellow and blue, they make green. And then red and blue make purple. And then red and yellow make orange. So mix those three and see how that looks on a piece of paper. And then after you do that, you can start mixing like blue with orange and see what you get, or yellow with purple, because those are opposites on the color wheel, green and red. I don't know why every time I go live I get like a frog in my throat. It's really strange. So strange. Okay, we're gonna go for the trunk. Yesterday it was a little scary to do our trunks, but we got brave and we just did it, right? We just did it. So I'm just doing this nice big one. I started small and then I went bigger at the bottom. And see how light this is? I don't know if you guys can really tell how light. And then one more tree. That one should be thicker on the bottom. So that is 3 trees on the right. Now I'm going to fix this up and do this one. And this one is going up. And then there's one right here. And then another one right here. So I got some tree trunks over here. I may refine them a little bit. This one looks wonky. A little wonky. And it's okay if they're a little bit wonky, because none of the forest trees are perfect in their being straight or being you know, going all uniform. They don't look like perfect little rows in the forest. They're all kind of growing willy-nilly. So now I've got that, and it's already starting to look great. I am loving how this is looking already. Like, so cool. Trying to figure out where I can show you if I can do close-up, but I'm gonna add some more green in there, just to, and I might add some yellow. Put some yellow in my green. I need to refill my yellow. So now I'm gonna just go in here. Even though my trunks are still kind of wet, I'm gonna do a little bit of this yellowish green, because they're kind of in front of some of these trunks, right? So I'm just doing it a little bit, like here and there. Now you guys might be like screaming and saying, what are you doing? You're messing it up. No, I don't think I'm messing it up. I'm adding the yellows where I want to. Sometimes I just dab them straight into the yellow and just do that. Some yellow up in there. And I don't really have clean, I don't really have super clean palette. I have like a very messy palette, but it works. So now I'm mixing up a little bit of a darker green to get it in there. Just trying to do a little bit here and there, just to keep it different. I want some variation in our foliage, right? So now I'm going to do some Viridian green and a little bit of red in my, ooh, that was too much red. That red goes a long way. That is scarlet red. Ooh, so much red. There we go. I should have used my alizarin crimson red, but this will work. Look at how dark that is. And look, I can drag it over there and see what it does. So hopefully it's not too shiny on there. I see there is some reflection from my light, which I'm not happy about. Then you can add a little Payne's Gray into your sap green mix and see what that does. You can put a little Viridian Green back in there and do some in there. But right now we're not trying to do anything detailed. We're just throwing it in. Throwing it in. Put a little bit of red mixed in. This whole corner up here is kind of dark. I add some more Payne's Gray. A little bit more swoop some of that red in there. And see what it does. I'm liking that. That looks fairly good. Fairly good. It is a little shiny. Let me heat it and then it won't be as shiny. That should work. All right, I might go into a smaller brush, but I'll keep my big brush nearby. And I don't store my brushes. So I've seen some people like to keep all their brushes like this in their cup of water. That is bad, bad, bad. That will ruin your little watercolor brush. Because they're not quite like an acrylic brush. They are definitely softer. And then your brush is going to end up being bent. And to unbend it will be difficult. So we're going to just go in here with this darker green. And I'm going to start putting some little dots here and there. What I can do if I want it is just kind of do some speckling. It's not quite dry enough. If you see what I'm doing, the speckles are kind of disappearing as they're going down because it's still really damp. But I do like these little splatters. I like the splatters. Now this section was highlighted. I may end up lifting and then I may end up feathering that down and feathering that. So I'm rinsing and dabbing on my paper just to get a little bit lift on there. So I'm liking how that looks. Let's see. This is very for my path. Let me lift it a little bit there too. So let me see. My zoom in is super zoomed in. Let me see if I can make it a little less zoomed in, but still zoomed in. And it'll be a little bit easier for y'all to see what I'm doing in sections. So I want to look at this section down here. So there's a lot going on. I kind of already started making my darker areas, my lighter areas for the shadows. But that's just to help guide me as I make layers. So if I have my dark green, I can go in and I can start making some texture in there. Making some texture right there. And then this is going to have some texture right along the edge because that's where the dark is. So see how I started doing that? And it's gonna go a little bit this way. I'm just watching my picture, my reference photo. And there is a little bit on the other side. So over here, I'm noticing there is some shadows on one side. Just to make it look a little bit more like the sun is coming in. And we want to keep this loose and pretty and watercolory. We don't want to try and make it look like a photo. We want it to look painterly. So I'm trying to keep that in mind as I'm moving my brush around. So back here is a little bit of kind of a bluish brown. Let me see what I can mix. And I might just go like that. And rinse my brush, dry it a little bit, tap, tap, and then wiggle my brush just to make it go upwards a little. So see how that added a little bit of softness back there. I might need to mix a little more green. This painting has a lot of green. I go in here, and if you like gouache, you can always go over the top with something called gouache that will bring out the highlights if you didn't leave them. I'm kind of getting my darks in there right now and trying to keep it in the little rays. And then get some Payne's Gray. Sometimes it's just that Payne's Gray is perfect for what I need. And adding more if I need it to be darker. And going up in here. And I just let the Holy Spirit guide my hand. So if my hand is moving like crazy, I just let it keep doing what it's doing. And see what happens. So now these trunks are very light. We have to start thinking about lights and darks at this stage. So that's why I've already kind of put in some right in here. Wiggling my brush back and forth to make those shadows. A little bit in here. But I'm not trying to make specifically leaves. I'm not trying to make leaves. Like someone might try and draw leaves like let's see if I can find a scratch piece of stuff here. So if you were to want to paint leaves and you were super intense, if you were a super intense painter, you could do each leaf, and that would make for a highly detailed painting, right? And I'm not saying you can't do this, but for the sake of time, I like loose paintings, but you could do a couple of little highly detailed leaves. You know, you could do that all over if you wanted. This is not my style though. My style is like and splatter. That's how I like. That's my style. Maybe one is better than the other, but I just say they're different. So, and that's what I kind of like when I do my watercolors. So I'm looking at these tree trunks. They are definitely calling to be darkened at this point. So I'm going to switch to this brush. This is actually a cheaper brush than my Black Velvet, but I really like it. It comes in a set, but I may end up ordering a bunch of these just because they're super fun to do. But we'll mix up that dark brown. So I use both of my burnt sienna, burnt umber, and Payne's Gray. Now, if you don't have Payne's Gray, just use some blue. You can add a little blue in there, and that just gives it a little gray tone. And that looks really nice. So now watch what I do, and you'll see what I do on these tree trunks. So I'm going in and I am darkening the trunks, right? See that? I'm gonna do it on all of these guys. And as you do stuff like this, as you paint, you guys will get better. You'll get a lot better as you practice. So you might be thinking, oh, you're just so amazing. I'll never be like that. Yes, you will. Just gotta practice. I always tell people that if you know how to write your name, there was once upon a time where you didn't know how to write your name, right? In kindergarten or wherever. And now you know how. And you don't even think about it. You just write your name. And that, to me, shows that you can learn anything. It's all about practicing. And we want to practice. So I was thinking, if you guys are interested, because my friend Kim brought it up, last spring I did a challenge where every day we painted something different. I may come up with a list for you guys if you'd like for July. If you want to paint something every day in July, kind of like a challenge, that might be fun if you guys want to do that. So now I'm going to go over to this guy over here and darken that tree as well. And just continue it upwards. And it's starting to come along, if you see that. And we can even add some branches at the top. It's always a good idea to have some branches coming off of these tree trunks. Now this, I think I need a thicker consistency of paint because this is kind of wet over here, so it's just, I don't know. Might add some more dark in here too, because I kind of like that, and it gives it a little bit more of a woodsy look. Let's see how I'm doing that, and it's just coming through here and there. And I may, when I frame this, may not even have some of this showing. But see how that I'm just focusing on the one side, trying to get it to look like it's got one side darker than the other. And if you do the whole trunk dark, don't freak out. We can always bring it back. I've got a white gel pen. So sometimes we do kind of, we forget that we need to leave the light, which is the paper, right? I'm going to go smaller with my brush and see if we can do a couple little spindly looking branches. And this is, I'm just kind of going wherever. I'm not really following what it is. I'm just wanting to go wherever I want to go, right? But we can be jiggy jaggy with these branches. We can be coming off the bottom here, crossing that tree. Can add a little bit more brown, change the colors so they look a little unique. And I'll do a couple up here, maybe some down here. And don't want it to be too thick and too much. You can start overdoing this part and it'll be too much. Now I notice there are a couple little tree trunks over here maybe. And I don't know if it goes too far up. Let's see. Kind of like that. But if it's too dark, you can always just use your brush and lighten it up by wiggling your brush over the top. And that just lightens it and softens it. Because usually things in the distance are kind of blurry. At least with my eyesight, it's kind of blurry. Beth is saying, I like this. Landscapes elude me. It's perspective that gets me. Thanks for your skills. So many gems. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, sometimes the perspective drawing, it's almost like we feel like when we're thinking about a path, it should all be the same width, because the path when you walk on it is the same width. It's not getting wider or smaller as you walk down it. But when you're drawing it or take a picture of something, you can see that it looks like it's getting smaller as it gets away. So that's just something to remember. I like to find the vanishing point and then just draw. Draw the line to where it starts and stops. And then from there you can make your whole painting. Now buildings, if you have to do buildings in perspective, that's a whole nother ball game right there. Whole nother ball game. Let me mix up some more grain. Look how much paint we're using. So this is why I always tell people, don't be stingy with your paint. You got to use paint if you're going to be painting. Don't be afraid. Now look at all those sprinkles. Sprinkles. I call them sprinkles, splatters. They're really fun. And then you can just dip your paintbrush in the water and then just do that. So it's giving some watered down splatters. I kind of like that. Then you can even do pure yellow ones. Not that I have anything pure yellow in my palette, but it's fun. Yellow kind of pushes things away. So if you ever do use your yellows, just know that they react to the colors that are already on your paper, and they make it so that it pushes some paints away. It's kind of cool. Like that's another thing to experiment with is your colors and how they react to each other. So I'm going to put a little bit more in here. And see, I'm not painting every leaf. I want to paint all the leaves. I just want to paint the illusion of leaves. So we are still let me get more tea. So we're still just doing this, like kind of splattering and adding some depth. I'm liking how it looks so far. And I haven't even added my dark shadows. Let me see if I can make some more of this brown. Well, it's like a dark brown. It's like a dark brown. Let's see. Might do some of that in there. And see, I'm just adding a little bit of texture to the trunks. I don't know if you can see that. I can try and zoom in. Definitely have some glare going on. Let me see if I can get rid of that. It's a little better. So as you can see, I am just putting in some of a reddish brown in there now over the top. And you can leave a lot of the splatters you have already in there show through. And that might just make it look kind of fun and unique with those splatters. Same with the tree over here. So there's a couple little streaks we can do on there to just make it look like bark. We're not trying to make too much detail though, because if you go for highly realistic details, then you probably got to do it for the whole thing. I mean, not necessarily, but you might have to. So I'm liking how that's turning out kind of dark in there. And I might even just add ever so slightly a little bit on this one. Just a little bit. That looks pretty good. I think there's some little twiggies going through here and there. Little branches. Maybe I should put some little branches up here. you kind of just let yourself do what you want at this point. Following what it's doing in the photo reference is great, but you don't have to stick with it. You can do whatever you want. And I feel like over here should be some more little twigs and little branches coming up. Just for fun. Now I'm going to mix up some more green. Got to mix up our green. And I'm going to put in some more areas of green down in this, what do you call it when it's under the trees? That's like the underbrush, maybe. So we're just adding this darker green in here to some spots of this. And we want it to go across some of these trunks so that it looks like it's in front of them. And even though watercolor is translucent, we can still, with our layers, create something. I'm just going to add some yellow in that. Why not? Yellow looks kind of pretty in there. Add some yellow in there. Just for the fun of it. Like the sun is shining. And we can add some yellows into the background in there. You probably didn't see what I did because I didn't zoom out. But I put a bunch of yellow up here. And I might just soften it with some clean water. Soften it just a little bit. And then add a little bit of darker green down in there. The little Payne's, ooh, that's too much Payne's gray. A little bit of red. See how dark that is? Let's use that up there because there's some darks. Darks over here. Let's just go for that. Sometimes we gotta use what we mixed and we're like, okay. So now I'm starting to add that little bit on the pathway going down. If you can see what I'm doing in here. So I'm just adding a little bit in here. And then a little bit down in these right here, a little bit, not too much. But it's kind of cool adding that in there. And I do kind of like this color, so maybe I will use it over here as well in some of this foliage area. And it's right along this edge. Why can I never get the close-up where I want it? There we go. So I'm getting it right along this edge. Because I already mixed up that color and I'm like, you know what? It is kind of like parts of this color. And you can do some negative painting. See how I'm kind of going around and letting the darks kind of make some highlight areas. So those can be our leaves that they're not super realistic and leaf-like, but they are definitely going to give some interest, right? We want some interest down in there. So I'm just making little shapes, and those can be my leaves. And see how I'm just doing that ever so slightly. If you can see what I'm doing, hopefully. So see, I'm just kind of making the shape like with some pointy areas. That just kind of gives that little shape just a little bit. And I'm going to do it in some of these areas as well. See that? And you can even add it onto the other side. Just keep in mind that as you do this, you're probably going to be Like, I don't know how you're doing those shapes. Well, I just kind of flick it here and there, and as it's working, I like it. If it's not working, then I try something different. So that's what I'm doing. And so far, it is looking good. I'm just going to keep darkening some of the area on the left. So some of these tree trunks aren't dark enough yet for me. I am adding, let me see. I'm adding some dark right up in here just for the fun of it, to make it darker on one side. That looks like it's really starting to come together. Let me see if I can get just a little bit up on the canopy here. There's more light up there, so we don't want to mess with that too much. But I do kind of, I like having that little bit of contrast in the darks and light. So as you know, we started with a very pale tree trunk, like very pale. Like these tree trunks right here, they were very pale when we first started. And now I don't even know what layer that was, but we've got several layers now of browns, and it's starting to come along. Like it's starting to create what it needs to create, right? And so sometimes we just kind of wiggle our brushes and see what happens. And sometimes we love it. Sometimes we're like, maybe I don't love it. But you know what? It's really fun to experiment. I hope you have fun experimenting. And so I'm liking how that looks. I'm liking that. Might have to soften a little bit up here. I might have went too dark on some of these. So I'm going to just soften them. If you can see, I just rinsed my brush, dabbed it a little bit, and I'm wiggling that and just making it less dark, right? Ooh, I kind of like that. That looks good. Now, here comes the part. And I may need a size in between these two brushes. So let me see what I got. I got this one that I really like. It's a little bit, let me see. See these three? I like these three, but I'm going to go with this one to do the shadow across the path. Now, if you're doing a large painting, you'll need bigger brushes. If you're doing a smaller painting, you'll need smaller brushes. But for the most part, this is what we're doing. Okay, gonna get that nice and wet. And look at this blue that we use for the sky. I kind of like that, but it's too blue. So let's add some Payne's Gray into it and see how it looks. See that color? That is very pretty. And we could mix it with some of this brown from the path or the trees that we've been mixing. So now we've got a couple different ones to choose from. So this color or this color is more blue. So you can pick. If you want it to be more blue, use more blue. If you want it to be more gray, use more gray. So now I'm just going to very boldly follow the shape of the tree down. And it's going to get wider at the bottom. Same with this guy. And I'm adding some water. And let's see what else we're gonna do. We're gonna go this route right here. And why is my little doggy doing crazy things? Do you need to go out? You needed to go out. Oh, so see how the shadows are coming across? And I'm running out of my blue, which is very sad. So I'm going to mix up a little bit more Payne's Gray, a little bit more of that blue, and see what happens. We can make a darker shadow in there just to make it look more like it's from our tree. You can even go with that blue up the tree. And that will look nice. And I've noticed that there are some different branches here and there. I'm not trying to be too perfect with these shadows, but they are a little bit in there. Now we're going to focus over here because there are shadows over here. So we're going to put some shadows over here with that same kind of Payne's Gray blue. There is a little bit that's going on this side over here, and just start letting your instinct take over. We need our instinct to kind of take over for us. And you might be like, I don't have an instinct yet. But we will foster that instinct, right? We want to anyways. So now I've got these 3 trees that are doing something there. There's some trees over there doing something. I do notice across the path in the picture that I've been looking at, I'm going to water it way down, and then I'm going to just do a couple, like just very, very subtly, like that. And then I'm going to, I don't know why my dog is out there barking, silly little pups. But I'm doing this on the path a little bit just to get some variation. But I probably put a little bit too much, so now I'm watering it down. And I like having a little bit of a smoother transition. And I'm just dabbing in here with my blue. Seeing how that looks. Ooh, I like it. So that's pretty good to me. Like, I am enjoying how that looks. I might do a little bit of texturing with that little shadows area. See how that looks with a little bit of the blue. Making some little leaf marks, but not too perfect. We don't want it to be too perfect. I can do some up in the trees just to make some shadow up in there. Might do some up in this section. So if I can zoom in on that so you can see what I'm talking about. Up in this section needs some darks, right? Some darks and lights. So I'm just going in there. I'm trying to preserve some of the light, but I'm trying to get some darks in there. And that's just kind of fun to get that section over here dark, because look at the whole picture now. It's starting to come along. I want some darks in here, so I might just go full-blown Payne's Gray just in these shadow areas along the path. And that's kind of giving it a little bit more depth in there. I might do that a little bit in some spots over here. And trying to think where else I'd want to put some of that. Just pure Payne's Gray, right? Maybe on these trunks a little bit. Yeah, just for fun. Make it dark. Make it darker. Sometimes we get really bold with these, okay? We get really bold and we just start doing some crazy stuff. And you can do that with a couple different trunks right there. Maybe a little dark on this one. we really want to get some, this is still wet, so I like when something's still wet, I can add darks into it and it kind of flows with what I've already done. So that's why I do that. But I think that's looking pretty done. Look at this, it's 11 o'clock. Probably my husband thought I'd be done. That's why he's out there mowing. He wants to power wash and all kinds of stuff. And I said, well, I got my video. I had to do my video. So, I'm going to add just a little bit in here just for fun. And I may do a little bit of just Payne's Gray splatter. What happens if I do that in the trees just for fun? And down here too. And over here too. Why not? Right not? Don't do splatters everywhere. I don't know. Sometimes I can overdo my splatters. So now I'm just putting clean water on top of those splatters and they dilute in a way that you cannot predict. So sometimes that happens and it's fabulous, right? Just fabulous. So that has a little bit of shadow. I like that that looks really light in the middle there. I feel like this is coming along great. It's not exactly like what I've been painting. It's not exact, but it's similar. So that's what we do. We kind of, we try and mimic sometimes, but we're not perfect at it. So we come up with our own at the end. But this looks great. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's done. I think it's done. It's ready for framing after it dries. Oh, and if you guys aren't into signing your paintings, I sign with this cute little gel pen. It's I got these off Amazon, and I usually sign my initials in one of the corners at the bottom. So if you want to watch me sign real quick, I could do that just to show you. So I'm gonna do like JP. So I do a swoop down and then it's like a J and P for Jacqueline Park. Then I like to put the year. Some people say don't put the year. I like the year because then I remember exactly when I did it, right? So that's always a good thing to remember. And then you can see how you progressed. You could date it on the back if you don't want to do this. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing a cross. Y'all, I don't know if you can see it. Right in there. Do you see that little tiny cross? I'm going to leave that. That's a little God wink. He's like, there's a little cross in there. I really need to find the scripture that I was inspired by. It was in Psalm. And do you think I can remember what it was? Let me see if I can look it up real quick. So Psalm, I think it was like near or after 119. So it could be, it might have been 121. Let me see. Let me see. 119 is the longest psalm in the Bible. And the whole Bible is the longest chapter. So I think it was right after that. Was it 121? Or maybe it was 120. Maybe not. You know, I was just reading it and I was like, maybe I write it down. And I was like, no, I'll remember. Do you ever do that? You ever think like, oh, I'll remember that. And then you go to talk about something and you're like, I can't remember it. But that's okay. That's just how it is sometimes. It was like a path into my feet. It was that verse. But I can't remember now. Anyways, I could probably Google it and it would find me something quicker. Yeah, let's look it up. And see if it comes up. Psalm 1. Oh, it is in Psalm 119. Okay. But it's such a long one that I couldn't find it. It says, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. That is exactly what I was thinking when I wanted to paint this path. That is it. So it's in Psalm 119, 105. This is how long the Psalms are. Like that is a long one, right? And it's fine because we need to read it. Because the Bible is truth, right? And we trust the word of the Lord. He keeps his promises. So sometimes we forget that. But science is starting to prove a lot of what Genesis said. And we're learning more and more how the Bible knew about these things before people had scientific proof about it. So it's cool. But yeah, Psalm 119, 105 says, your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. And so I really like that God accidentally or purposefully made a little cross right there. I feel that that is definitely supposed to be there now. It's cool. I love this. Look at this. You too can make this. Just follow along, right? I hope I didn't go too fast. Of course, when this goes, it'll be posted for all eternity to be watched at your leisure. You can rewind, you can fast forward all the boring parts. So then you can actually, you can watch it over and over again. So if you are slower than I am at painting, you can do that. You can rewind, right? But check that out. It looks so nice. I like the shadows really brought it together, in my opinion. I like how the shadows brought it together. But I hope you guys have had fun watching me paint today. I may start doing some live painting on TikTok. There's some people I follow and they do a great job. So I almost feel like, here's the thing, and it's just a thought. And I always feel like someone could do something better than me. So then I don't do it, right? Like, I don't know, just name anything. So making videos on watercolor. I feel like other people do a better job. They have better equipment, better cameras, better sound, better this, better that. And I feel like, oh, why should I even do a video? Because someone else can do it better. But you know what? If I didn't do this channel, y'all wouldn't be watching and you wouldn't be able to say, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And that's how I feel about my channel. I feel like I'm inspiring someone to try, even if they feel inadequate. And I do feel sometimes I can do it, but I'm not as good as others. And so that's could hold me back. But instead, I'm just going to persevere and I'm going to keep trying to paint. Good tutorials. Maybe I'll get better as I study, as I try. So that's just one way to look at it, right? We can all just keep getting better as we try. And I hope that inspired you today. And I hope you all have a blessed one. I love you and I pray for you. Mwah.